Thank you so much, everybody, for coming this morning to Georgie's session on her second session on LinkedIn. So her first session is, as she's just said, on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't watched that yet, please do go and watch it first. If you're watching the recording, that is, and then come and watch this one afterwards. But Georgie will be guiding us through how to build greater consistency and confidence on LinkedIn with a focus on purposeful content, meaningful engagement, and sustainable visibility. So thank you, Georgie. Over to you.
That sounded really glamorous, didn't it? So I hope I can deliver on that one. So just to be, the session's going to be about 50 minutes. There are going to be 2 or 3 polls that we're going to run, just quick sort of to get a sense check of where everyone is who's attending today. So apologies for those who are watching it on later on. And there is actually a reflective activity that I'd like you to think about doing as we move at the end of the session. So get your pens and paper as well with you. So hopefully you'll be able to go away with something really, really quite tangible to use from the session. If you can pop your questions in the chat box, Sam's going to be monitoring and answering those as well. I will answer the questions at the end for anything that comes up. So thank you very much. So as my introduction, so I'm Georgie McIntyre. I am founder and owner of Avant Consultancy Limited, and I work with not-for-profit organisations, purpose-led organisations, and within education. So my background is quite eclectic. I know Sam knows this. So I've worked in business, I've worked for Cambridge Assessment, I've been a head of school, and I also now work with a number of tutoring organisations on their strategy and their sort of development and their progress. And part of that is actually working with them on supporting their marketing growth and using LinkedIn more effectively. And we try and do that in a values-led way. So making sure that it's not from a sort of a heavy sales perspective, but actually sort of naturally engaging and a bit more storytelling. So hopefully you'll be able to go away with some sessions on that. And as I've mentioned previously, I did actually deliver a session in February, which was focusing primarily on your profile and your LinkedIn area. There was a few sort of bits that we touched on, but I'll reference some of that as we go through, but this is going to build directly on that. So I would encourage you to go back and look at that further. But it's very much thinking about LinkedIn as a professional space and how your profile builds trust and how you show up every day. So I'm hopeful that you're going to be able to go away today with a few more calm, appropriate and manageable activities that you can think about and engage in. All right. So by the end of the session, I hope that you'll have a clear understanding of how the LinkedIn content works. I have put through some good practice nuggets in yellow as we go through the session. So they're sort of little quick top tips and information for you. They're things that I've learned from experience and sort of over time have really worked for me. I've called it good practice. I can't guarantee it's best practice, but I like to think that actually it really helps things grow. I'm going to give you some practical ways to share your thinking clearly and appropriately, and some simple structures to make your posts a bit more easy to read and a bit more engaging. So hopefully that's going to help for you. The idea is this is not going to be more pressure. This is going to be about actually helping you approach this calmly and give you a bit more confidence to take the next steps. So just to briefly anchor us, LinkedIn isn't just really another social platform. It's actually, if you position it, a very professional space where you can show up and actually appear and share your thought leadership. Your profile often builds trust before you ever speak to anyone. And the credibility comes from being really clear and really open and sharing. And we'll go into further detail about how clear and clarity actually really helps. And it's not very salesy, my approach. It's more about kind of not needing to self-promote, but actually just sharing your stories and being approachable and giving some case studies of people that you worked with and celebrated before. So this is where most people sit, and I know it's quite an interesting image. So I think LinkedIn can be quite daunting. It's more about kind of, I know what I should be doing, I know what I need to be doing, and I know where I want to be. But often it's about not being sure what you want to say. Perhaps you're afraid about getting it wrong, or you don't want to appear too salesy. So I'm hopeful that by the end of today as well, we can bridge some of this gap. And as a sense check, what I'd like to start with first is ask you to indicate A, B, C, D, or E in the chat. Where are you currently feeling? What are you currently feeling about your LinkedIn experience at the moment and how you're posting? Have you updated your profile? Are you reading more on there? Have you started to comment? Are you unsure what to say, or haven't you done very much yet? So let's just give that a couple of moments. And if you can pop your answers in the chat, and Sam's going to share the overall numbers on here for us. Great, got some great numbers coming in here. Thank you. Great, Amber, you've updated your profile. Lynn, panicking. Okay. Let's see if we can try and alleviate some of that. So Sam, what's the overall sharing comments and things that are coming up for you at the moment?
I think majority for E, and then the kind of like second top option would be A. So both ends of the spectrum, I would say.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. It's really good to kind of get an indication. And the first step is about updating your profile and really thinking about what that looks like. So again, I'd reference back to look at LinkedIn 1.0 on the CPD YouTube channel with TTA. There was lots of letters in there, wasn't there? So to make sure that that's lots of tips and a good focus on getting your profile right. So go back and have a look at that one as well. But just as a reminder, and this is kind of what I covered previously, you can actually have two types of profile on there. So you can actually have a business LinkedIn page, which is more about your shop front, about your business as a tutor. So it's really about your credibility. It's where people go to truly understand what you do, who you offer, what support you offer, and how they can access it. So if you imagine that your business LinkedIn profile is your kind of shop front, so it provides a general visibility and you're there and you can link it and attach it when you're doing your posts, when you arrive in searches. But following on from that, what we also covered in the previous webinar is about your personal profile. And that's much more about building your trust and your relationship. And as we all know, being a tutor, education is very much relationship based. And people need to trust you, and people need to choose you and your values and your judgment. So you need to show up and actually share what your opinions are, what your experiences are, your integrity. And over time, that will actually build confidence with people who are out there as well. So I would highly encourage you to have your shop front, your business LinkedIn profile, talking about your services, but much more use your personal profile as your thought leader piece. So the piece where you talk about and you comment and you share content about your daily comments and experiences. When people are trying to buy you, they are asking various questions. Can I trust this person? Do they understand my world? Do they have judgment and experience that I need? And that's exactly what the personal profile will offer for you. So it's not about being less professional. It's actually often where you're most trusted if people can access and communicate with you on a personal level, on your personal profile. So hopefully that's clear for you. But just as a reminder, and I went into more detail with you last time. So you think of it like this. So your personal profile is your voice. So this is where you show up. This is your thought leadership piece. This is where you're saying, can I trust this person? And the business page is your home. So it demonstrates that you're a credible organisation that we can work with. And as I shared before, the personal profile is not less professional. It's actually somewhere where you're more trusted. So it's actually where you show up, you demonstrate how you think, you can show which other organisations you align with, like the Tutoring Association, so you can communicate and reference anything that's there. So having those two aligning together will actually build out a whole profile of confidence on LinkedIn for your audiences. So moving on now to, we're going to look at credibility and confident posting. So what I'd like to do is actually get a sense of where you are now and pause. So thinking about what most stops you posting confidently, because this is actually the bit that we need to work with and push past now. So having a look at those answers. Are you worried about what others will think? Are you unsure what's appropriate? Have you got concerns about safeguarding your boundaries? You don't know what to say, or you simply haven't had the time or understanding. So would you mind popping your answers to this poll on the chat as well for me, please? Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you. Great, Lynn. Thank you, Nigel. Yeah, there's a mixture here, isn't there, Sam? Okay, Sam, do you think that's about it? Do you think everyone's contributed?
I think a lot of E, and then also a couple of mixes of A and D together.
Okay, so a lot of time and understanding, which is quite common, and also that identity piece, about worried about what others will think. So hopefully over the next bit, I'll be able to give you a bit more confidence about things that you can test and trial. But very much, I would say to you, it's a bit like exercising a muscle. It's hard work getting down to the gym or going to that boot camp, but once you actually start using it and building it over time, you will start to dip your toe in and feel more confident. So I'm hopeful that by the end of this, you're all going to go away and have a go actually posting and creating some content in LinkedIn as well. So let's see if we can get you there. Okay, so let's move on then about building your professional credibility. So I touched on this before, but it's really important reframe. So if you think about whenever you're creating content, it's actually not about writing and people checking that you're writing and making strong arguments, etc. It's actually about making a contribution. So again, if you think about your profile is about who you are, where you show up, your experience, why people should work with you, all those sort of areas. The presence, so your contribution is about how you think. So it positions you as a thought leader when you're actually commenting or posting or resharing anything on there. So you're not creating content, you're contributing professionally, and that's where the shift actually happens, because suddenly you're not performing, you're not trying to impress, you're actually simply sharing what you're thinking or what you're experiencing your day that day, or something funny that showed up for you, or something that you noticed, your perspective. So that's the kind of area that you need to really reframe and think about when you're actually making a contribution, because it's something that other people will start to understand and align with you in a way that it might actually help someone else, even to the point where they may go, actually, I can really, really relate to that. Okay. Interestingly, there are 3 levels to this. So, and I would say to you, if you're feeling anxious or nervous or have anxiety about what to do on LinkedIn, have a look at where you're at the moment on these 3 levels of presence. So at the moment, perhaps you could be an observer. So you're loitering in the background, watching what's going on. And occasionally you might link, you might like something or take some content from there for yourself. And I would say to you, you don't have to jump straight into posting. So I'm not going to say you have to do this at the end of it, but it would be great if you're feeling a bit more encouraged by the way we work through. So you might start as an observer, and then over time, I'm going to show you how important it is that engagement on other people's posts actually really helps grow your profile as well. And then eventually, when you feel right, you'll then become what we call a contributor. And in the previous session, I actually shared a really good section on how to create a newsletter and actually write a piece and post it or an article for you. So again, if you go back to the other session, that's when you truly are contributing and becoming a thought leader and positioning yourself that way. But I'm saying to you, let's do this gradually. Did you know, for example, that every time you comment or engage on anybody else's posts, LinkedIn actually acknowledges that and rewards your comments and engagement, even if you do not feel ready to actually contribute at that time. So just to reassure you, you don't actually have to be a contributor and go straight in there. You can actually start by making comments, engaging, reposting as a process apart that. So commenting thoughtfully on other people's posts isn't a lesser step. It's actually a really, really quite powerful one for you. So the next slide, there's a lot in it. So apologies, but this is like kind of where the different areas that we can work on and move forward. So let me just move my notes over. Okay, so I'm going to try and demystify the algorithm a little bit for you. And so we'll go through the different sections and why actually the algorithm rewards human behavior. So LinkedIn is actually looking for you to engage and communicate and reshare and drive their platform. Ultimately, if you think about it, they need people to engage and be involved and support each other. So they want to reward human behavior. So every time you engage in anybody else's content, that's actually a positive thing for you. So the first step might be that you actually want to go through and identify people that you really want to align yourself with. And you can do that simply by, in the search bar at the top, actually identify people that are working in similar organisations as yourself, working in the tutoring organisation. Or you may want to go on to the Tutors Association and look at their members and see if there are people that you want to connect with on there that have similar profiles or interests that you can align yourself with. And the reason is it's not about actually having, yes, they may be your competitors, but it could be that actually they are sending similar messages that you want to align with as well. So you can actually support and encourage and engage clear ideas and comments on there as well. So likes may come from things that make people pause. So when you're actually creating your own content, these are the areas also that you want to try and encourage people to do. So anything that you create that you eventually post on LinkedIn, you want to try and encourage your content to do this in any of these areas. So these are the kind of things that will actually raise your profile through the LinkedIn algorithm so that you actually are getting more notice. There was also a few other top tips that I shared on the other one as well. So make sure you go back and watch that. So likes, for example, every time you post on there, as soon as someone likes or comments on your areas, what you're actually doing is you're making people pause, and LinkedIn algorithm really, really enjoys that. It sees that there's simple value, fresh perspective. So I would say create some content, some kind of post. Could be that you've stopped and you've thought about your day. Share something that's coming up that actually other people might find engaging or interesting. Comments actually really help also, because what you want to do is actually really, really encourage people to perhaps engage or support or comment on other areas. And also, if you think about it as a little bit of reciprocity, sorry, put my teeth in, or reciprocal. So if you're commenting on other people's work, they're more likely to comment on yours and support you and engage you. But you can also, when you put a post out, you can actually ask and encourage or invite or gently challenge thinking and ask people to really respond on that. Saves tend to be really golden nuggets. So these tend to come from things that are genuinely useful. So things where you may have, I tend to put quite a few things about reflective journaling, or articles that I've seen, or quotes that I think are motivational. Because I work in kind of the leadership sort of area, and I'm thinking about sort of calming everything down. So I tend to follow and save and like any kind of quotes, any sort of frameworks that I see on LinkedIn, any kind of areas or ideas that I think I want to return to. And also AI is great on creating some really good infographics for you. So if you've got an idea or a framework or a tool that you've used in your classroom or with your tutor or tutees that you want to share, you can share the idea out, or you can ask AI to create a little infographic around that for you. And what you're trying to do is actually encourage people to save that content, so that they will come back to it usefully. And that actually also is gold dust for the LinkedIn, because that means that people are going to come back to it. So they really like it if people save your ideas and your concepts. Often people, again, and this works really well with quotes or tools again, so something that really resonates. You'll see a lot of content normally on a Monday morning where people are thinking about how their Mondays are going to look, or reflecting on their Fridays, or a tool that's worked really, really well. But reposts are actually something where people really feel like, again, this is where we want to get to, where any of your content is really resonating with other people. So this sounds like me, they're really aligning with you. So again, this is where your fellow tutors in your communities and the network that you have in the Tutoring Association, if they sound like you, I understand this is how I'm feeling today. They're all reposts that you could gently do, and also you could create for other people to do that. And there's some great actual quote tools and software that you can find in Canva, which are great for you to repost. So I'd encourage you to perhaps try and dabble with pushing out a few little reposts as well. And dwell time. So LinkedIn love dwell time. Every time you stop and you read something and you hover, LinkedIn are actually, the algorithm is measuring how long people are spending with you. So what you want to do is try and encourage what we call dwell time on your LinkedIn profile. And things like carousels or longer posts or thoughtful articles or newsletters, for example, which I shared previously, they're all encouraging dwell time. So they're keeping people on the platform, but they're also keeping people working with you and getting to know you and how you feel and your values and your alignment. So slightly longer reflective posts can really, really help with that. And I've popped down at the bottom, hopefully you can see in yellow, on Canva, when you tend to create a post or a carousel, make sure when you download it as a PDF, because often when you download a carousel, it wants to do it on an individual photos. If you upload those individual photos on LinkedIn, it's a little bit more hard work for the person viewing it and reading it to work through those pages, and it doesn't actually encourage the dwell time. So whenever you create a carousel on Canva, make sure you download it for LinkedIn as a PDF, and then that will encourage the swipe through and the dwell time that you're looking for. Okay, so interestingly, and I'm not sure many people are aware of that, whenever you're posting content on LinkedIn, the algorithm will read the content, and this is how clever it is, and actually look at your experience, and it's matching whether this is credible content. So make sure anything that you're sharing really aligns with your experience or your voice or your reputation or anything that you've shared. So in the background, LinkedIn, the algorithm will be looking at your experience. So one of your profile tasks should be to make sure your profile is fully uploaded with all of your experience in the past, because then if you're talking about it and you're sharing your thought leadership, it will align with what your expertise and your experience and voice says. So most people aren't actually aware of that. So make sure anything that you're sharing actually is relatable to your profile. And also timing. So I'm going to go on to another couple of tips in a minute, but post when your audience is most active. So typically, make sure that when you're posting online that you meet them when they're actually most likely. So if you're posting at 6 o'clock at night, most people aren't on LinkedIn during the week. They are at the weekend, and I'll come to that in a moment, but meet them when they are most going to be active and when your audience is most active. And try out some scheduling tools as well. So there's a really great, really cheap tool that I use called Metrical, and I use that to post all of my social media. So Metrical is METRICOOL, so Metricool. And that actually also indicates when's the best time for your audience for that particular social media platform. So have a look at that tool as well, because that's actually really cheap and reasonable for you to get started and will help you manage your posts. And you can actually start scheduling ahead. You can schedule ahead on LinkedIn, but if you want to do that and repurpose your content on Instagram as well, it's great to get something like that to really help you sort of use and manage that tool. Okay, so I think I've covered a few things here. So first of all, good practice. Let's go straight to it. It used to be perceived that LinkedIn was a business platform, which it is, but more and more now it's moving to being more of a personal sort of people sharing relationships. And as a result, people are now actually looking at LinkedIn at the weekend when they've got more downtime. So weekend posts are actually proving a lot more popular. And the reason being is it's less crowded. People are scrolling on there longer because they're sitting with their coffee on a Saturday morning. So if you want to post something really meaty or write a thought leadership article or a personal story sharing, the weekend could be a really good time for you to post on there. So I would encourage, give that a try, see if there's something there that really helps you. It also would be a really good time thinking about the tutoring audience. That's going to be often where parents of tutees are going to be online as well. So think about that. When are your audience most likely going to be scrolling through, reading? It's a bit like your Facebook Reels, etc. When are they going to be having downtime? And interestingly, weekend posts are proving a lot more successful because it's a much less crowded area. So people will stop for your posts, particularly if they're very, very clear. So clarity is really, really important. it's great to have a really interesting, engaging, clever concept, but actually what you're looking for is clear, simple, scroll stopping posts that are really, really going to engage people. And also they will look at usefulness, a simple, strong opening line also. So I put here about no more, no longer than 8 words. So if you want to, I share at the end my LinkedIn profile, but you can go on and you can look at my posts. So quite often my first line of my post will be no longer than 8 words long. And the idea being is that it's simple, people quickly read it and they'll stop. There's a pause, and then you get into the meat and veg of the content of what I want to say and what I want to talk about. So no longer than 8 words on your initial hook is what we call it. And then make sure that you've got plenty of white space on your posts as well. So it's really easy to read, really simple. So try and position your content in 3-sentence blocks as well. And the reason that you do that is actually it enables people to read, pause, digest, move forward. And there's a lot of science behind this around how people engage as well. Don't try to give lots and lots of ideas or too many takeaways or too many concepts. Go with one thing at a time. So one main idea and a takeaway ideally. If you can post something that they can take away or use in the future, that will ultimately encourage people saving your content and your progress. Oh, sorry. And what doesn't work quite well. So think about too many ideas, too many takeaways, too many things, no clear point. They will actually make it too complicated. It could be that it's too much text, too many ideas at once. So you'll see that I've kind of put the different areas on here as well. And things like big blocks of paragraph, dense text, all of those will actually switch people off and it will become too confusing for them to read. If you imagine 90% of the people will be looking at this on a mobile phone as well. So you want to keep it simple and clean. And try and end with a powerful line or a powerful statement. So they go away and think about something or it has an impact. And ultimately, it's about, do you align with what they're thinking as well? And I've put here about trying to encourage and invite engagement. And that comes from making sure that people will comment and respond to your comments are here. So think about if you invite them to write a question, think about making that as easy as possible for them to answer. So invite positive engagement. So for example, I've put, have you ever learned a lesson, yes or no? So ultimately they're going to go, yes, and this is what I did, or no, move on. Harder to engage, what lessons did you learn, actually takes a little bit more effort to comment and respond. So think about inviting simple comments and engagement, because again, the algorithm and LinkedIn will reward you for gaining comments, etc., that are coming through. So that's the difference, the different gentle nuances on about how you invite engagement on here. And make sure that you are sharing your values. You are talking about what's important to you. You are sharing why you became a tutor, for example, a great storyline. How did you end up here? Why are you here? What's your motivation? What difference do you want to make? What impacts do you want to make? These are all really strong values that you want to take away and really share with your clients. And that makes you human, and that makes you trustworthy, and that makes you feel like you align with them. So ultimately they will follow and they will keep coming back to you. So hopefully that's not too overwhelming for you. Something that I talked about last time is about credibility and the 4 C's. So just to touch on this, and I went into this in a bit more detail, but credibility really comes down to 4 things. You want to be clear, so people trust that they can understand you. who you are, how you work, and the context that you work in. You want consistency. And that isn't about showing up every single day. It's about your message, it's about your tone, and making sure that your brand is aligned and that they get used to you. You're familiar with what you're going to do and what you're going to say, and making sense over time. Obviously, working in tutoring, there are clear professional boundaries. So I need to highlight to you from a safeguarding perspective, if you are going to talk about a tutee in a case study situation, that's a really great thing to talk about. Make sure you anonymise and you are very simplistic about any kind of areas that you don't want to talk about as well. So, and know what not to share as well. So think about your professionalism, think about what you want to align yourself with, and think about all the angry posts that you perhaps see on LinkedIn, but perhaps move on past those. Don't become that person that has to have a big old vent all the time, because actually, especially in education, you want to demonstrate that you've got your professional boundaries and you've got ethical judgment as well. That kind of cross the boundary for you, because equally what you engage in and how you respond and what you leave alone is actually
Georgie,
testimony to you as well. Yes.
Sorry, we lost you for maybe like 10 seconds there, mid that sentence. So I don't know if you just want to rewind and then, yeah.
Ethical judgment, is it that one? Was it the ethical judgment?
I think so. I think it was just the last point that you were making. We just missed the middle of that sentence.
Okay, all right. So what I was going to say is think about carefully about what you comment and what you show up on as well, and what you engage with, because every online choice you make shows your judgment. So if there are some heated debates that are going on, if people are being confrontational, and confrontation is great, but think about how much you want to align with that. Especially in education, it tells a story about you as an individual. And if you're trying to build trust and engagement with your followers, what you engage with and how you respond and what you leave alone really, truly says a lot about you as well. Does that cover what we were saying, Sam? Yeah? Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that. So I've posted here some opening lines or post suggestions. So if you want to get your phones and screenshot these, then please do. But sometimes the hardest part about posting is actually just getting started. So here are some really simple things that you can use, that you can share and you can post. So something I've been noticing, so what you've been noticing when you're working with your tutors or on your day-to-day life or your interactions. Or one thing that I notice when I'm working with my students gets misunderstood, or a small shift that's really helped me is, so maybe that's about your time management, maybe about your practice, or something that I've been thinking about, a question. So all of these are great open one hook lines that you can share as a getting started. And I would encourage you to, perhaps if you've never posted on LinkedIn before, have a go at using this, and don't be afraid of using AI as well, but try and make sure it's your voice and tone that comes across. So get some ideas and concepts and then try and put it in your own words. And these are other things that you can do. Reflections, things that you clearly students get hung up or things that they aren't clear about. So you may have things you want to clarify. You may be your kind of observations that you've noticed on your day-to-day. You may have insights that you want to do, or as I shared before, merely talking about your values is a really great way of getting people to want to work with you and align with you. And there's a bit of research that says that people need to see you and engage with you and maybe be the observer of you for up to 8 times before they start to engage and comment. And that's about building up your trust and your presence. So over time, they'll say, oh, she's back. Georgie's back again. Okay, she's talked about this again. Yeah, I agree with that again. So again, it's about trust and encouragement that you're in. It's a bit like having a wonderful, great big networking room, but you're in the right room. So they are choosing to work with you because you're clearly their kind of people. So these sort of statements, they aren't big dramatic statements. They're really grounded, thoughtful openings. And the great thing about them is that they naturally lead into your own reflections, your observations, and your values and your insights. So hopefully I am going to see a few of these out there from the people that are watching in the next few days. So there's a little challenge for you. Okay, so just final poll before, oh no, we're going to do an activity first of all. So how long have we got, Sam? I'm conscious of time.
It is 1:45, so we've got, well, technically we've got 16 minutes if you count the extra minute.
Wonderful. Okay. All right. So we've got 5 minutes then to actually go through this activity. So it's your turn now to have a think about and having a go at this together. And this is, I talk about with my organisation, I talk about stripping things back and doing things calmly. So I talk about the calmer style approach. So I want you to sit here now and I want things about what I am noticing. And this could be today, this could be with one of your students previously, it could be something generally. So have a sit for a couple of minutes and write down in your notebook what I am noticing. So write this as if you're talking to yourself. Just give you a couple more moments. So can you just all confirm you've got thumbs up, you've all got what I am noticing you've written down? Brilliant. Excellent. Okay. Right. So what you are noticing, I now want you to go a bit deeper. So why does it matter that you've noticed that? Think about that. So you've noticed, why does that matter? Does that matter to you? Does that matter to your student? Is it something you need to share with other people? Why does that matter? That one's a bit tougher, I know. I can see question faces. Oh, there's my door knocking. Gotta love the postman when you're doing a webinar. It'll be an Amazon delivery, I'm sure. Okay, so thumbs up, everyone's got why does it matter? Everyone done that one, yeah? Okay, and what have I learned? So you've noticed something, you've thought about why does it matter? So what have you learned as a result? Digging deep now. Okay, thumbs up. We all feeling like you've learned? What have I learned? Did it come in? Yeah. Okay, and then final question. So from what you've noticed and why does it matter and what you've learned, what might help someone else from this? And I'm going to ask a couple of people to be brave and share some of their examples in a moment, if they feel able to. Okay, is anyone going to be brave enough to share what they're noticing and why it mattered? Yeah.
Okay. I'm working with a couple of children who anxiety is absolutely ramped, and what am I noticing is that they are constantly waiting to be judged and criticised in their point of view. They feel like everybody's out to get them or something along those sort of verbalizations. So they tend to look at me side-eyed, and they'll say something and they look to see what my face is going to do, what I'm going to do. Why does it matter? It matters because they feel confronted, they feel insecure, it makes them even more anxious. They're waiting for that next slap coming their way. What have I learned? I've learned that by doing an activity side by side with them, not sitting forwards to them, it takes it shifts the attention away from looking at me or me looking at them, and they are feeling less scrutinized, less judged, less observed, like a goldfish in a bowl. And I have passed this information on to a couple of other, like this observation to other people, to say, have you tried doing it side by side? I've got a particular mum whose child is extremely angry. Life is hateful for him. And so now, instead of saying what's wrong, they sit and colour a picture together and it all comes out that way round. And it's done in a lot calmer. The furniture's not being smashed as much, the walls are not being damaged, and it's actually brought down the temper within the child to being able to, they can now talk things out rather than it being a screaming, shouting, hollering match from one side with mum trying to go, there, I'm not attacking you. So that's something I've noticed.
That is amazing. And just you sitting there and telling that story and going through that process, how would that feel actually capturing that and sharing that story on LinkedIn?
I would probably panic because I have imposter syndrome and feel that my posts are not going to be good enough to be out there, and therefore this is my opinion, this is my observation, this is my feeling about it. So I don't know, I think I'd probably panic actually, if I'm honest.
How about if you gave it a try? What's the worst that can happen?
Nothing really. They'll either like it or not. Yeah, okay, get your point. I will give it a try.
And how about it might actually help other people?
Yeah, I know it has helped a couple of people already, so it might do.
It's a great post. It's a great post.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to share?
I just wanted to say that I not agree with Lynn, but I very much face exactly the same issues, and I really struggle because I feel like for at least all of you may actually appreciate a behind the scenes thing, but then I sit here thinking, well, who actually really wants to know about me sticking name tags onto like onto place settings for the awards, for example. I really internally struggle with this. I'm like, well, who's even going to watch it? Who's going to read it? Who will appreciate it? But yes, I go through periods where I will post a lot and you'll all hear about what I'm doing, and then I'll have like a month or so where I'm just like probably 0 or maybe less than 5 posts. It's madness. It's difficult though, Lynn, but keep up the fight. It does work when you do post, but yeah, it's difficult.
I would also say that almost everybody else on this call, Sam, is feeling the same. And I also had that whole identity piece as well. So there's an element of exercising the muscle and just keep testing it. And actually, I would say if we all agreed to post today from this little group, we can all support each other and celebrate each other. And that's the first step, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I would encourage you to do that. So Lynn, if you post, tag me in and I will absolutely be sharing that for you. So anyone want to do that, I will push out, because we should be celebrating each other. All right. Sam, and your stuff's great. You're amazing. Stop it.
I try. I have such a love-hate relationship with social media in general, because I have ADHD and I have a really addictive personality, and I doom scroll a lot. So I also put blocks in place where I'll be like, right, no social media, and I'll delete it all off my phones again. And then obviously that doesn't help with engagement at all, does it? Because I'm actively trying to avoid it. And then I'm like, but for work, I need it. It's yes. I'm my own worst enemy.
All right, guys, thank you. Hopefully it's interesting, Claire, that you're also saying that. Feels like there's identity, there's a whole identity piece conversation here actually. So which is, I do a lot of that. Okay, so let's have a look at the poll, and this is going to be really testing. So right, so poll 3, here we go, team. What feels like a realistic next step for you? Who's going to be brave? Posting this week. Well done, Vanessa. Refining my profile. Brilliant. Excellent. Ashley, yes. Yes. What I'm loving is I can see a bit of movement and a bit of momentum. And Lynn, and try not to panic. Absolutely. There's no need to panic. All right. Great. So that's really good. We can see that we're kind of using it more consciously. Thank you, Sarah. So I really hope that some of these little nuggets have been really helpful for you to get you thinking about how to do that. And I'm conscious of time here. But this is kind of a little bit of a framework. So if you want to take a photo of this as well. So key takeaways, I would say to you, if you take anything away from today, it's not about actually being louder and being everywhere. And you don't need to get it perfect. So it's about actually showing up. Are you going to move from being the observer, the person that's loitering in the background on LinkedIn, or are you going to move now and challenging yourself to be the engager? Or are you really, really going to take the brave pill and actually start being a contributor and showing up and actually making some content? Did you know there are over 1 billion people on LinkedIn? And did you know only 1% of that billion people actually contribute? So how about there's a big blue ocean out there of time for you to actually contribute and make a difference and be the people to share your success stories or share the difference that you've made to those kids that you're teaching who are struggling with anxiety. Okay, you just need to be clear, consistent and thoughtful in how you show up. So think about how you're going to stop the scroll and use those tips that I've shared and the hooks. And also think about a story, a moment, an experience, something that might be relatable, that might draw your audience in. And keep it natural. You don't have to be clever. You don't have to talk about educational pedagogy. That's not actually necessary. You don't need to overthink. You don't need to use jargon. Just write how you speak, how you talk. And ideally, if you can, come up with something like a reflection, a takeaway, or something that's changed for you that you want to share and celebrate. All right. So I want to finish by gently highlighting something that sits alongside everything we do. So we're here, we're in the community, the Tutoring Association. I'm a board member. I'm very proud of the wonderful community that is being built around tutoring, and here to support you today. So LinkedIn is about a thoughtful professional presence, and there are also lots of face-to-face events around for you to join up. And I'd love to actually have people, and I know Sam, you'd highly encourage this, all of the regional networking events where people show up and connect. It's free for all tutors, businesses and suppliers. You get free drink and free biscuits. So got to be good, hasn't it, Sam?
Yeah.
And these also, do you want to talk about that a moment, Sam, the regional events?
Yeah, so we have a couple upcoming. Let me just double check what is upcoming. John and Julius this year have gone a bit crazy. So they are trying to do as many locations as possible within a couple of days to try and make their time a lot more streamlined. But it did mean that the last regional event that they did 9 locations in 3 days, which included going from, I mean, John, we're down in Canterbury, included going all the way up to Scotland and then working their way back down the country. But coming up, we've got Nottingham, Birmingham, Cardiff, Oxford and London is our next kind of like batch of events. And then we'll also be going to Canterbury, Cambridge, Belfast, Truro, Exeter, Gloucester, Bournemouth, Brighton. And this is kind of all of the events up until July. And then once we have done all of those, we're going to be evaluating where we had the most people turn up, and then obviously for the later half of the year we'll then plan some more. So definitely do turn up. They're really great for networking. They're really great if you've got questions. John and Julius of course will be there to answer any questions that you've got, but also just to get out of the house for a bit if you tutor online, for example, and to remember that you're part of a community. So definitely go and sign up for your local one. It's free for everybody to attend, whether or not you're a member. And yeah, they're just really good to go to.
Yes, the TTA conference is going to be there again. So that was a question from Lynn. Definitely happening.
Yeah, the conference is Friday, the 13th of November at 1 Great George Street. So we will be releasing tickets for that shortly. We're moving over. So last year, if anybody went to the conference, we had a brand new conference app, which was swishy and beautiful and so helpful. And part of the conference app, because we onboarded quite late, but what we can do for this year is we can actually move registration over as well, which then means that when you buy your ticket, you only need to kind of like, you don't need to register for the app again later, and it's just a lot less admin and faffing around as well. But I have to build that from the very, very beginning. It's not kind of like an out of the box. So I am building it and coding it, and I've got the awards as well. So it's coming within the next few weeks. Also within the next few weeks, we'll be announcing the call for speaker applications for the conference as well. And while we're on this call, I may as well also let you all know that we are not just going to be calling or having a call for speakers for the conference in London. We are also planning to have a Northern conference next year in Leeds on Friday the 13th of March as well. So it will be NTC North on Friday the 13th of March as well. So when you apply to be a speaker this year, you can then apply to, or let us know if you would like to speak at the London conference, at the conference in Leeds, or at both. You'll probably only be picked for one, just so that everybody can have a good chance at speaking at a conference. But it does mean that we won't just be having a conference in London, which is perfect.
Thank you. Vanessa's asked whether they could have a list of people that was on the call for networking. So we just need to confirm everyone's comfortable from a GDPR piece of point of view. But yeah,
I think just everyone uses a hashtag maybe, and just and then you can just search the hashtag for CPD Live, or just tag the Tutors Association, and that's easy to go and search for everybody else as well.
Just a quick little nugget that I think most people aren't aware of is actually if you're on your mobile phone and you tap the search bar, and then you'll see a little dot down here. This actually creates your very own LinkedIn QR code. So when you're actually face-to-face at these networking events that you're going to, you can use this to actually create, and people can very quickly scan and then follow you on LinkedIn. So good little nugget, top tip there for you as well. I'm conscious of time. Has there any burning questions? I know this can feel a little bit stretchy, some of the things we're doing, but hopefully there's something you can take away that's a little bit more doable. I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone's got anything else that you'd like to ask me. All right, okay, I really hope that was useful. It's always a pleasure, and I think you're an awesome community, so really happy that everyone's here and showing up. So great to have you here, and thank you so much for your support and your engagement as well. It's been awesome. All right,
Thank you, Georgie.
take care, see you all soon.